Yes, I will. So just to introduce our speakers, Diane Bailey is Executive Director of Menlo Spark, a collaboration of government, businesses, and residents to attain sustainability. And she's going to give us a report card on San Mateo County's environmental health. And then when Diane is through with her presentation, Lisa Altieri is going to join us, and she is the founder and CEO of Climate Solutions Net. And she's going to present some simple household kinds of actions that we can do ourselves to lower our own impact and save money, even while sheltering in place. So, and then she's going to walk us through a fun exercise, a tool that's offered by San Mateo County Green Challenge and our own San Mateo County Democracy for America community group. So we've created a group for all of us to do so that we can try and improve the environment together and raise points, and I'm really excited to hear all of that. So first, Diane is going to start and take it away. And I think there you go.
There. Well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me join your meeting. I'm really delighted to join you. I'm just trying to do a screen share here. Bear with me for a moment. Let's see. Can you guys see that? I'm going to move it to presentation mode. There we go. Does that work out? Okay.
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you. And I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Good. Great. Well, thanks again for having me. And Diana, thank you for the introduction. I am with a community climate action organization called Menlo Spark, and Diana told you a little bit about it. I'm going to tell you just a few more things before I launch into an overview of San Mateo County and how the county is doing on climate. I'm going to focus on climate today because there are some other organizations that are wonderful, like Sustainable San Mateo County, and they focus on the environmental report card of the county with their indicators project. And if anyone's interested in that, I'll be happy to direct you to that group. They do really wonderful work. So Menlo Spark, we work with all different facets of the community, residents, youth, business, local government, and we're sort of a convener of sorts. We try to connect to local experts and folks who can help with the communities and folks at the city who can use the help. And we do some fundraising to support that as well. So why are we doing this work? Who cares about climate? Well, it turns out that here in Silicon Valley, where we enjoy a lot of great things, we're still impacted heavily by climate change. It's a big deal everywhere. It's a global issue, but here locally, it's impacting us in very serious ways. And I've just listed a few here, like sea level rise, heat waves and poor air quality, loss of local wildlife, specifically many bird species. And of course, one of our greatest risks is wildfire concerns. And that has increased fivefold throughout California in the past several decades due to climate change. But fortunately, if we act quickly and early to address climate, we can actually enjoy a lot of benefits from the steps that we take to address climate. We can create much more vibrant communities by placing more housing downtown and near transit. We can save a lot of money if we're saving energy and water. We can create a lot of really good green jobs. For example, if we are replacing fossil fuel use in our homes and buildings, we need people to help us do that, and those are jobs. And of course, if we're reducing our fossil fuel use, we're reducing pollution, and that improves air quality for everyone. It reduces asthma risk and makes people a lot more healthy in general. So I want to transition into San Mateo County and talk a little bit. I'm an outsider. I'm not employed by the county, but I live here. I've lived here for the past 10 years or so and watched the efforts of the county grow. And I'm really impressed with what the county has done. This is a screenshot of the Office of Sustainability website. And it was started, this Office of Sustainability started in 2014. I have to look at my notes here. I have a cheat sheet. And it was a part of the county manager's office. And their goal is to improve the sustainability of county operations and the greater community through work in areas of renewable energy, energy efficiency, resource conservation, alternative transportation, and greenhouse gas emission reductions. So I know that you can't read the slide, but I can share my slides with everyone afterwards if you're interested. This is really just a snapshot of all of the really wonderful things that the county has done on environmental action for the past 30 years or so. So if you go back to the early 90s, there was a lot of work on environmental procurement to reduce waste, and many other things since then, a ban on styrofoam food containers, fuel efficiency standards for vehicles. In 2012, the county had its first climate action plan, and that kicked off a lot of other actions that I'll get into in a moment. First, I think it's important to celebrate progress no matter how small, and this is just an overview from the latest draft of the county's climate action plan on how they're doing, just a couple of indicators to show that the county has actually switched over to 100% renewable energy for all of their facilities. So that's a wonderful step. They've converted almost all of the lighting, stoplights and public lighting to LEDs, super efficient devices. They've installed dozens of EV chargers and solar installations totaling about 2 megawatts. So that's a good start. They've cut down waste in the landfills, I think diverting around 75%, so a really high rate. Not San Francisco quite yet, but getting there. And they also support a lot of really good alternative commute strategies, for instance, supporting more biking and walking instead of driving. So, but it's not enough. We have more work to do. And so in 2018, San Mateo County did a vulnerability assessment to figure out, okay, what are the risks that we're facing here in the county from climate change? And they looked at fire risk, extreme heat, and sea level rise. This map is focused on sea level rise and coastal erosion, and you can see that the impacts are quite severe. This map is looking at a 3-foot sea level rise scenario. We could see that by mid-century. And by 2100, we are looking at up to 7 feet of sea level rise. So much further inundation if we don't do anything at all. We, of course, are hoping that we won't see this map come into reality because we're working on mitigation and adaptation to prevent this flooding. But I think it's important to see which communities are going to be flooded the most. And if you look at this map, you might notice not just that the airport might be underwater and critical infrastructure, but also that a lot of lower income, what we call environmental justice communities, are going to face a lot more flooding, more so than some of the wealthier communities. And you guys should feel free to stop me if you have questions along the way. So this just highlights the difference between mitigation and adaptation on climate. What I showed you just a moment ago, San Mateo's Climate Ready program to look at how to deal with climate impacts, that's called adaptation. It's preparing for some of these impacts. Groups like ours, Menlo Spark, we're a lot more focused on how to get the greenhouse gas reductions reduced. That's called mitigation, but the two go hand in hand. So I'm going to move now into strategies on how we can reduce the greenhouse gas or carbon emissions and reduce the risks that we're facing. So this is just a snapshot. This data is kind of old, back from 2015. It shows where our carbon or greenhouse gas emissions are coming from. And let's see. Okay. We see that most of our emissions are coming from the transportation sector, followed closely by building energy use. And then there's just really a handful of other sources like waste and agriculture that comprise about 5% in total. So really, we are looking at targeting the transportation sector and building sector to get the biggest carbon reductions. And the good news is that the emissions have been going down over the past 15 years quite a bit. But the bad news is that this isn't happening quickly enough. So this is a snapshot of the current climate action plan. It's in draft form. It's what the county is proposing to do in the coming years. And you can see relative to our current pollution, carbon pollution, the county is proposing to reduce it by 50%, cut it in half by 2030. And by 2045, the county is looking at going climate neutral. And this looks pretty great, right? I think most people would look at this and say, yeah, good progress. The only issue is that the whole state, all of California, is proposing to reduce carbon emissions by 40% by 2030. And so the county isn't really cutting emissions too much more than what's already happening through the state. And the state is also has a pretty firm climate target to be climate neutral by 2045. And so we are really challenging San Mateo County to go further, to be bold and try to reduce carbon by at least 80% by 2030. We need this quick reduction to reduce some of the most significant impacts that we're facing from climate. And there are actually a lot of examples of other cities and local governments that are taking bold steps to reduce their climate emissions. A couple of examples of cities that have embraced the 80% greenhouse gas reduction are Fort Collins, Palo Alto, and Santa Monica. It's not on the slide, but Montgomery County in Maryland also has some pretty good targets. They aim to have in place all of the measures to become climate neutral on the books by 2025. That's just 5 years from now. And what's great in San Mateo County is that a lot of people really care about this issue. About 76% of San Mateo County residents, according to polling data, they feel that climate change is not being tackled aggressively enough, and they really want more done. And so also San Mateo County has a great footing because the county has a proven track record now over the last 10 years of some really bold transformational measures. And so we want the county to build on that and keep going with those transformational measures. And it's important to keep in mind that the longer the action is delayed to reduce carbon pollution, the greater the environmental impacts and cost. And so we should really make every effort to move quickly now. So what are some of the achievements so far? This is just a snapshot. I'll go into a few more details in the next few slides, but just as an overview, Peninsula Clean Energy is a new energy agency that the county started that delivers mostly renewable energy, much more so than the state standards. The county has also been a proponent of so-called REACH codes. These are building codes that either ban natural gas or promote electric solutions instead of gas in new construction. The county has done—
Stop and ask questions.
Diana, what do you think?
I thought you said we could stop and ask questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure, go ahead.
Quick question. You put up something about carbon neutral, certain years, certain locations would be carbon neutral. Where does San Mateo fit in? Where are we in progressing to being carbon neutral right now? And do we have a goal date?
Well, right. So, so these are the goals that the county is considering right now in their draft climate action plan. The goal would be a 50% carbon reduction by 2030 and a climate neutral target by 2045.
Okay, thank you.
And then by comparison, these are some other cities and other governments that have taken stronger goals. We have a fact sheet on this, and I'd be happy to circulate that fact sheet that details the different climate actions. So what else is the county doing? We talked about Peninsula Clean Energy, REACH codes, energy efficiency, electric vehicle programs to promote EVs. And the most important one, and I don't have slides on this last one, is transit-oriented design and multi-use planning and integrating these concepts into the planning documents, the general plan and area plans. This is really important. This is about supporting affordable housing and getting more housing density in downtown areas that are walkable and close to public transit. So I want to talk a little bit about Peninsula Clean Energy. I think this is one of the really the biggest kind of linchpin accomplishments of the county. This was launched in 2016. In 2015, it emerged as just, you know, a dream or an idea or a concept, and a year later they launched it. So it was done in kind of a Silicon Valley style startup mode. When it was launched in 2016, they had already begun serving 75% carbon-free power to everyone. And they're on track to be 100% carbon-free with all of the power they deliver countywide by next year. I think this year they're 95% carbon-free or something like that. And as they're delivering much cleaner power than the state baseline, they're saving everyone money. They save about 5% relative to PG&E rates. And collectively, that means $18 million were saved among customers in San Mateo County. I think that's for last year, but it's an annual savings. And so cleaner energy that's cheaper and reducing about 150,000 metric tons of carbon a year. And that's the equivalent of taking 30,000 cars off the road. One of the other important things about Peninsula Clean Energy is that they're taking their surplus revenue because they're a county agency and not a for-profit business, the surpluses that they're not putting away for a rainy day, they're reinvesting into the community. And they have really important programs to support electric vehicles that I'll talk about in a moment. But they're also putting $10 million into resiliency to help people, especially medical baseline customers. If the power is out, they're going to need backup power. Last year, we had a lot of public safety power shutoffs, and it created kind of an uproar. It was extremely inconvenient, but for medical customers who have devices that rely on the power, it was life-threatening. And so Peninsula Clean Energy is putting a lot of money into helping those customers, helping schools and community centers set up microgrids so that they'll be resilient. And they also supported those REACH codes that I mentioned a moment ago. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So let me try to get through some of these slides quickly. This is dense, but I'll just note that on electric vehicles, Peninsula Clean Energy, in collaboration with the county, has done a lot to really help cities green their fleets. They have a green fleet program that supports bulk purchasing of electric vehicles and helps them set up EV charging. Peninsula Clean Energy put up $12 million and got a match from the state for new EV charging infrastructure, and that's for apartment buildings, schools, and public places. And so we're going to see a whole lot more EV charging going up in the next 2 to 3 years. And finally, they're collaborating with our local agencies like Samtrans to get electric buses on the roads. And if any of you have ridden in those buses, they're really nice, super quiet, really clean. Youth outreach is another part of San Mateo County's climate programs. I'm not going to go into too many details, but you can see that they have a lot of partners in on this program. It's really exciting. I think this was the first year they did it. It's called Youth Climate Ambassadors, and it's for high school students, really to empower them to take climate action and develop their leadership skills. I want to shift gears here for a second and talk a little bit about the fossil-free buildings campaign that we've launched. Last year, Peninsula Clean Energy and the county, they launched a program to help every city in the county update their building code to try to phase out gas. We call it fossil gas. Most people call it natural gas, but it is a fossil fuel and it's largely coming from fracking, and that's important to know. PCE and San Mateo County launched this program to help each city update their building code in tandem with state requirements. This year, every city in the state had to update their building codes, and what the county did was they created a model code that made it easy for cities while they're doing the state updates to integrate this new policy to favor all electric design. And that's really important because all electric construction not only costs less and saves money, it's really a big public safety thing. The old way of doing construction using fossil gas was creating a safety risk, and I think all of us remember the pipeline that exploded in San Bruno about 10 years ago. But we all face little risks from gas every day in our homes and buildings that could leak and cause fires, and it's one of the #1 risk of everyday fires and also after earthquakes. So it's a significant public safety threat. It's a health hazard, burning gas in our homes and cooking with it every day. And it also begins to be more expensive on our utility bills to continue using gas because the rates are going up a lot. And so last year, our organization, Menlo Spark, we worked with a number of partners in the area to launch the Fossil Free Buildings campaign in Silicon Valley. And we grew to be 32 member groups supporting these policies in every city in not just San Mateo, but also Santa Clara County. And so this is what the map looks like after a year. We worked with 14 cities plus San Mateo County to adopt these codes, ranging from an outright gas ban in Morgan Hill and San Jose to more flexible policies that largely require electric heaters and appliances in new construction. So this was really a wonderful partnership between San Mateo County and our nonprofit climate action groups. So looking ahead to 2020, this is a snapshot of some of the most important areas for action in the coming years. We want to transition from the REACH codes for new construction, and Also, out of concern that there may not be a whole lot of new construction in the coming years with the economic situation we're in, we want to look at electrifying existing homes and buildings, helping people when they need to replace a heater to replace gas with safer and cleaner electric appliances. We know we need to increase public transit in a big way and provide alternatives to driving, like safer walking sidewalks and safer bike routes. We know we need to do a lot in terms of workforce development to help people get back to work, but also to get the training they need for green jobs. And lastly, on equity, it's super important as we develop all of these climate policies to integrate equity and anti-displacement into every climate policy that we consider. And then just a couple of other important areas. I'm not going to go into the details here, but carbon sequestration or carbon removal offers a lot of opportunities locally, whether it's regenerative agriculture or lower carbon or carbon negative building materials. And the county will also continue working on reducing waste and single-use plastics. Okay, so we created a simple infographic. It does not look simple on this slide, but this is just a snapshot of the 10 steps it takes to get to zero carbon to help every city in the county, as well as San Mateo County, work together on all of the measures. And unfortunately, before this pandemic hit, we were in the midst of working with the county and several leading cities to form a San Mateo County Climate Action Collaborative or Alliance. And that's a little bit on hold right now because we're all dealing with the COVID emergency. But we hope that by the end of this year, we can reconvene around these measures to figure out how the cities and the county can work closely together to advance all of these measures to get to zero carbon rapidly. We know exactly what the measures are that it takes to get to zero carbon. We have all the technology and the expertise, and it's really mostly a matter of political will. So wrapping up here, this is a photo of all the folks lined up in support of the county's declaration of a climate emergency last September. A lot of folks came out to support this bold step by the county, and it's wonderful because it really sets the stage for more bold action in the coming months. And the county joined about 1,000 other local jurisdictions in declaring a climate emergency. So it's great that they did that. So wrapping up here, I just want to note that if we want to make meaningful climate progress, we really need to bring in all of the different facets of the community, working with local elected officials, schools and youth and business, and really everyone together. And that's how we can make the deep cuts in carbon that we really need. And lastly, just a note about how we can sustain climate action. We know we need to continue climate action in this pandemic. And it's difficult during economic upheaval. It will be challenging for sure, but climate impacts are not taking a pause during the pandemic. So we know that we need to stay focused. And we also know that current spending practices can be reevaluated in a big way to start to envision the economy that we want to see instead of simply restoring the old economy. And we can look to prioritizing clean energy instead of fossil fuels. If we look at the old economic world order, $5 trillion of subsidies were going to fossil fuels. That's money that could be reallocated to clean technology and clean energy. And we know that it could be invested in green jobs and innovative programs. So in closing, I just want to note that San Mateo County is really well suited to lead on climate action. We know that if we work together with our local clean energy agency, PCE, that we can really bring all the stakeholders together to get this done and reach zero carbon. There's great leadership in the county and a strong track record of action. There's a growing youth movement that's really kind of hungry for bold measures to support, and a lot of coalitions coming together looking to work on fast climate action from an equity lens. And finally, I want to note that a vision to build grand solutions that scale from community to regional and beyond is really within our reach. And it's within our reach as long as we make it so, and as long as we work together. And I hope that we can do that. And I thank you for your time. This is my contact information, and I've also included the website for San Mateo County's Climate Action Plan. If you share my philosophy that the county could do a whole lot more than just a 50% cut by 2030, I'd encourage you to go to the website and post some comments and talk about the measures that you think are a priority, what you want to see the county do most. And I hope that we can all work together moving forward. I really would love to work with many of you. And I want to make sure that there's plenty of time for Lisa. I can't wait to hear her presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to Lisa and end my screen share here.
Can you stand a question first?
Yeah, excuse me, Elsa. Marshall had his hand up.
Oh,
So we do have a couple of questions for Diane. That was fabulous, by the way. Thank you so much, Diane. And we are recording this meeting. So Diane's contact information, her slides will be on our website. If we're able to, Flavia, if we're able to download this recording to our website, that's where it will be. So Marshall, you had a question.
Yeah, Diane, I'm wondering if you or the county have some sort of, this is a practical question, some sort of flow chart that people like homeowners can take to move from gas, say, to all electric. What are the practical steps?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Thanks for that question. So I presented mainly on what the county was doing. At Menlo Spark, we've collaborated with a consulting firm called Redwood Energy, and we've created guidebooks for all electric construction. And we've just completed the guidebook for homeowners. We did one for commercial and one for multifamily apartment buildings. And the homeowners guidebook is out. What I'll do is I'll share the URL on the chat. It's just fossilfreebuildings.org. And then we have a resource section that has the guidebook for homes with the step-by-step and product guides and examples of homeowners. And then what's coming next, what we're working on right now is a retrofit guide for homeowners who want to start replacing their gas appliances. It gets complicated because a lot of homeowners might be, at the edge of their electric panel and can't add any new circuits. But there are some really cool strategies to share the load between, say, a dryer and an EV charger or something like that. And so I'll just type in the URL for you in the chat.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And so for those who just joined us, I wanted to let you know that we will be muting everyone. And if you would like to speak, just raise your hand. That function is down in the bottom. You can wave your cursor over the bottom of your screen, and you can either let us know through chat, or you can raise your hand by opening up the participant function, and you can raise your hand in that. So Elsa, you had a question.
Yes, thanks very much. And I'd just like to say in the participant column, once it opens, your name will be at the very top, but you go to the very bottom of that note to to click on raise your hand. Diane, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. You're an amazingly succinct presenter as well, both the quality of your slides, but also your speaking and your energy. Thank you, thank you. I have two questions. One is, I love this data point about the US is subsidizing to the point of $5 trillion the current fossil fuel industries. Is that annually? Has that been over time?
Yeah, well, so first of all, Elsa, great to see you, and thank you for your kind words. So I apologize, the 5 trillion is a global figure, and I don't know what percent is from the US.
But therefore it probably is annual too.
It is annual, yes. Okay. Yeah, a lot of that's coming from the World Bank, but a lot's coming from the US too.
Great, thanks so much. The second thing is, I saw in your action goals, the very first one you listed, near and dear to my heart, was electrifying existing buildings, both consumer and I love that apartment was in there. And as you know, I've recently moved to an apartment building or a condominium building and in Menlo Park, and we look forward to working with you on having it become an example. But I wondered whether, when we tried talking, not through you, but talking separately to Peninsula Clean Energy, they said, oh, we're not really there quite yet on that. Do you have any, we want to go to them and say, well, here's why we would like to be your example in this particular arena for that. Do you have any idea of the best way to do that, to make impact with them?
Yeah, it's been slow going on this with PCE. They've been so busy with their electric vehicle programming. They are bringing to their board later this month, actually, a proposal on how to help existing buildings, so homes and apartments, electrify. I'm sad to hear that. I think they're focusing exclusively on single family homes to begin with. But at the same time, there is a program called BayRen. It's a 9-county program that is going to support electrification of existing apartment buildings. And they're rolling out those programs right now. And so I'll have to find the right contact for that. And I can get it to you, Elsa. I can get it to you, Diana, as well, if you want to distribute that or somehow make it available for folks. But Elsa, I'll have to look that up.
Okay, thanks so much. Do you mind one quick follow-up? So when you say apartment buildings, though, can that include, is it just multifamily? Can it include a condo building? It's not necessarily rental versus ownership.
That's right. Yeah, apartments and condos.
Okay, great. But it feels to me as if we need to get to them before this meeting so that they make sure they can be verbal about it and they know that there will be a number of us there who are very interested in having it be multifamily homes as well as single homes.
Well, that'd be wonderful if folks are willing to speak up or send letters or emails to Peninsula Clean Energy. Now is a great time to do that.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Elsa, for that question. And our next question is from Gail.
Well, I have about 4. You can, I guess, take them all or take the ones you want. One is we would please put us all on your mailing list so we know when there's a hearing somewhere that we can show up to, because some of us will do that. Secondly, you could keep us up to date on any legislation, either city ordinances or state legislation that we can support, because we're pretty active about that. So that's just 2 comments. And then 2 real questions are, well, 3 actually. Can you or anybody you know do anything about schools? It seems like the low-hanging fruit would be to have solar over school parking lots, but when I approached my local school, I just got nowhere at all. Are you working at all or leaving it to others to do divestment programs? And last is, why do we have hot water heaters on rooftops just, being heated by the sun without, any other intervention, as many other countries do? It seems it's extremely expensive here, but other countries have it a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can answer them really, just give me quick answers.
Divestment and hot water, yeah.
Schools agree 100%, and that's something that we need to keep encouraging school districts to do. I know that I've taken these issues to our local school districts a number of times and I haven't gotten anywhere. They're super busy and overwhelmed right now with distance learning, so it's a tough time, but I would love to see state leadership making it easier for schools and kind of making it the default standard coming from the state. And so I would say, let's talk to our state senators and assembly members, see if we can get something going. It's a lot of people are out of work and schools are closed. And so it's a great time to get the construction done at these schools. But every agency I've inquired at has, said, sadly, the lead time getting these projects is too long to make meaningful progress during the shutdown. So that's been disappointing, but I'm not done asking, and I would encourage you to ask too. In terms of divestment, there are other organizations that do a really wonderful job working on that, and we're quite capacity limited, and so we don't, but would support it. And then solar water heating is a wonderful thing. It's the reason that we're not promoting it is because it's extremely expensive.
Yeah,
and
why? It's such a simple technology.
So I'm not sure why it's so expensive, and I've seen it used in a cost-effective way to heat pools, but for the standard home or apartment or condo, it's a lot more cost-effective to do solar panels and then electric water heating combined.
Yeah, which uses more resources, it seems. Other countries have it on practically every rooftop. Go figure, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gail. And our next questions are from Bill and then Rob and then Greg, just to let you know. Bill?
I'm going to pass. I don't have one.
Oh, okay. Rob, let me unmute you. Let me find where you are. Must be under the R's. I wasn't ready to unmute you yet.
I didn't have a question either.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay, let me go back up and unmute Greg then. Oh, what was that?
Oh, do you want to take the toilet paper?
Greg, can you unmute yourself? I'm not finding you. You were in front of me. Oh, there you are. You have a question?
Yes. It's a similar question. Did you unmute me?
Yes, I did. I can hear
Okay,
you very
good,
well.
good, good. It's a similar question to Marshall's, but it's a little broader in a sense. My main sin is my house gas heating, single family house, okay? And I've looked into all kinds of possibilities, and I don't drive that much, so the gasoline is not a real problem. But if I wanted to electrify my house, I would have to probably spend about $20,000 or $30,000 on solar panels, and probably I would have to get a big battery because the sun doesn't shine during the night when the house gets cold. So you say that you have some recommendations, but can you give one simple answer to this question?
Sure. Yeah, it's true. The sun does not shine at night. We are so fortunate that the basic power that we're getting countywide is super clean. And so you can electrify your heater, get an electric heater. They're called heat pumps. And it uses the same technology that your refrigerator uses. It's just in reverse. Or you can get an air conditioner with a reversing valve, and then it can do the heating and cooling together. And it's okay if you don't have solar panels, because the power that you're getting just generally from the wire serving your home is super clean. And it's true that there's an issue with renewable energy, that it's intermittent, meaning the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, the water doesn't always flow. But you should have faith that your power providers are choosing new projects that combine energy storage with renewables. And so I know of no new renewable project that's not incorporating energy storage for that reason. And there are a lot of energy storage projects that are going into existing renewables. So if you have a solar farm that's existing, a lot of them are adding new energy storage, not just megawatts, but gigawatts are in the pipeline for construction. And so the issue of, gosh, I hope you guys haven't seen the new Michael Moore film, yikes. The issue of renewables being problematic and running on gas or fossil fuels, that is an issue of 10 and 20 years ago, but it's largely getting solved now. So we really shouldn't worry too much about it.
But the utility that provides our solar power mostly, how does it store its energy? Do they have large battery banks?
They do. Some of it's battery banks, some of it is water storage. And so our utility, Peninsula Clean Energy, they're contracting out with these providers.
And
okay.
We need to move along so that we can have adequate time for Lisa. And Susie, one last question. And can you unmute yourself? Yes, you did. Okay.
Yes. So my question is, and I'm asking you to guess, what do you think it's going to be like in the next 6 months? We've got a ton of people that have now been working at home. And these are all the people that have been commuting across the bay every day for years. The traffic was just hideous, 2 months ago. What do you think it might be like in the next 6 months as the stay-at-home orders are released? Do you think it's possible that big companies are going to keep people working at home because it works? Or do you think we're going to be right back where we've been with everybody commuting across the bay because they can't afford to live here, and everything, the lovely clear skies we've enjoyed will go away again? Diane, you're muted. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's the $1 or $1 billion question. I hope that people enjoy the clear skies and good air quality that we've been having. On that one of the last slides on my deck was a photo of LA
Yeah.
pre-pandemic and post. And, you know, people can see the Himalayas for the first time in Delhi. And, you know, the air quality improvements are remarkable right now. And of course, that comes at great economic pain. So I hope that when the economy reopens and when people go back to work, that employers will have a much greater tolerance for teleworking, for people working from home more frequently, maybe not every day, maybe, you know, 3 days a week. But I hope that people are getting used to it. Of course, there are a lot of jobs that can't be done from your home, and those people will need transportation. And I hope that public transit can come online in a safe and reassuring way that people will take it. I know that there's a slow streets initiative right now where some cities are opening up streets. They're closing the streets to vehicle through traffic and inviting more pedestrians and bikers on those streets, taking advantage of less traffic right now. I hope that some of those measures will stick around. I think people are really enjoying it. So if folks like those measures, like slow streets and fewer cars, it's worth sending a note to your elected officials to let them know.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Lisa, we're looking forward to hearing your presentation. Thank you so much, Diane. That was fabulous.
Thank you. I'm going to stick around and listen.
Thank you.
Great. Well, hi, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to join. And Diane, that was fantastic. That was really, really good. I am going to share my screen. And let me go into present mode here. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes,
So just to check in, is anyone having problems with the screen display? If so, maybe send a message to Diana and let her know, and we can stop and help you out.
Yeah, let me know through chat.
Yeah. My name is Lisa Altieri, and I'm with Climate Solutions Net, and we have created an online platform to help people learn about the solutions to climate change and what they can do. So our mission is to empower people on climate solutions. And so this is actually kind of a shot, a little bit of our homepage. And I'm really excited to be able to be here to tell you about it because we just officially launched across the entire US. So our program is now available nationally. So what you may not know is that 40% of US emissions are coming from 5 basic household activities that we do every day. Our electricity use, our use of home heating fuels like natural gas or propane or fuel oil, our transportation, that's both land and air, our food choices, and our waste stream. So specifically what we send to the landfill, not what we recycle or compost, but what we're sending out to the landfill. So 40% of US emissions are made up of those 5 activities from all of our households. And this is what that looks like. If you break it down, the largest sector is transportation, and then electricity, then heating fuels, and then food, and then waste is pretty small, but it's still there. The good news is that we now have solutions at the household level for all 5 of these basic household activities. And that was not the case 5 or 10 years ago. So this is a really, really important moment. And listening to all of your questions to Diane, this is a very savvy group. And so what I'm telling you may be things that you might already know, but this is really important because a lot of people don't know this. And you have the opportunity, if you already kind of up to speed on this, to share it with others who don't know. But it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you wanted to reduce your impact in those 5 basic household categories, it was not easy. It was either prohibitively expensive or it was expensive enough that you had to decide between doing these actions and putting money towards your kids' college fund or your retirement or paying your bills. Or there were some areas of action where it was just not possible and you really had to restrict or sacrifice quality of life to make these changes. That's gone, that's over. So now in all 5 of those categories, we have really viable, affordable, accessible options where you can significantly lower your impact and save money at the same time. And not only save money, but also improve our indoor and outdoor air quality and create local jobs. So we're now in a win-win situation with climate solutions at the household level. And the important thing to note is that this is not a replacement for policy. We still need to fight for policy. Policy is really important. But we're at a situation now where policy is not happening as fast as it needs to. And if we put all of our eggs in the policy basket and we don't start doing the things that we can do today to bring emissions down, it's not going to be good. So when this is a report, it's called the GAP report. And
Lisa, excuse me, your audio is getting garbly. Is there something that has changed?
okay, hold on. Hold on. Oh, here they are. Let me stop the video. Okay, I just cut my video. Sometimes video and screen share and audio all together don't work so well. So Diane, I don't know what part you missed. I'm just going to back up a sentence or two there. Did you miss a lot?
No, it was just starting to get garbly.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. So, so the UN produces a report every year they call the GAP report. And what they do is they show the gap between global country commitments, policy commitments on climate GHG reductions, and then where policy says we're at and where science says we need to be. And they call that the gap between our policy and the reality of what we need to do. And they have sent out a plea to civil society, to companies, organizations.
Yeah, we're losing you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. So basically the UN has put a plea out to civil society, to businesses, organizations, companies, and individuals to do whatever you can, take whatever actions that we have available to us in addition to the policy, so that we can start to reduce emissions today. So available now and really make a difference. Are you losing me again?
Well, for a second, yes.
Okay. So I think part of it is, I'm not really sure. It might be the slides. So I'm going to move off the slides. So this is our platform. And rather than look at some slides, I'm just going to see the platform. I think that will be a little bit better. So this is our platform. And as I said, it's called We Renewed. So anyone in the US can go here now and use our platform to learn about climate solutions at the household level. So all you do is when you come here, you can put in your state and your city. So for you put in maybe San Mateo, whatever city. Oops, if I can spell here. And you go, and it would bring you to a local challenge. So, and actually you can see here, we're just getting started, but we already have over 8,000 households nationally, over 3,000 tons of CO2, 1,000 actions completed. So, so when you put in your local information, you're brought to the San Mateo County Green Challenge here. So this is everyone works locally on the site. And to get started, it's really easy. You just click join the challenge, and then you can create your account. So it's a really simple account creation form here. And then once you create your account, I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you'll be brought into the site. The first thing you'll see is a little welcome message that'll pop up. And then once you dismiss that, you'll be on your dashboard here. And it'll say, welcome to your dashboard. It's easy to get started, just 3 simple steps. So those 3 steps are to complete an energy profile, which is a basic, will then tell you what is your impact today on climate change. And then you can find actions and decide which actions you want to take. And then the third one is to join or start a community. So this one is going to be really easy because I'm going to give you a link where if you join through that link in a little bit, then you will be actually already connected with the DFA community group. So then this step is really easy. It'll be just taken care of automatically when you get started. So the two main steps to take are to we'll actually look at those household actions that you were all asking questions about. They're all on the site. So I'm going to go over here to an account that's already set up. And I'm not sure if there's, I see some things popping up in the chat here.
So Lisa, you're not able to open it up on the DFA site then?
Sorry?
We did start a DFA community group. Are you not able to use that as an example?
Oh, so I can't go into your group because I'm not a member of your group. But
okay.
I'll show you what it looks like. There's a few people it looks like that are posting things in the chat. So I wasn't sure if there was a question. Is there a question right now?
No, not yet, no.
Okay, great. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what it looks like. So this is what the energy profile looks like. So this is the questionnaire where you just answer some questions about your household. These should be easy to answer. The only one that might get sticky is what the energy source is, and if you don't know, you can say, I don't know. But these are pretty easy questions to answer. Under utility, so page, this is for Palo Alto, so it's a little bit different. But when you get to this page, you'll actually be able to link in your utility account, your PG&E account, and then also record information about how you get around, what types of transportation you use. And then there's also some questions here on food and waste. And so once you answer these questions, then back on your dashboard in the bottom section where it says My Impact, you'll be able to see the result of those questions, the result of your energy profile. Your impact is from electricity, from heating fuels like natural gas, from your transportation, both land and air, and then food and waste. So you will get a really clear idea of where you're starting from at your household level and where your impact is coming from. It sounds like some of you have already explored carbon calculators, so this is basically the same idea. It's easier to do on an aggregate, but we're working on that. But you can also see here how you compare to others. So the average impact per person in these 5 basic household areas of emissions is 10 tons. There'll be a number here for the local San Mateo County area. And then you can also see the UK, China, and India, and you can see how you're ranked. So that's the first part of doing your energy profile and exploring and learning about your initial impact. The second part is to find actions. So here we have an action grid, and I just want to show you those initial 3 buttons that get you started. Those are, you can use those and they work really great. But just to show you as well, this is your navigation. Your dashboard is where you track your household progress. Your actions are where you find actions, which is where I am right now. And then this tab, the community group, this will be your DFA group. This will be where you can connect with others from the DFA community and share and work together. So here I'm on the action tab right now. And we have at the top, we have categories of actions. So here you can click like the getting started category, and you can find a few things to check out initially if you want a few ideas. We highly recommend that you read the Learn About Solutions and the Johnson's Plan. These are learning actions. You just read them. And what specific actions that relates to at the household. And then this tells a story of a family and the actions they took. It's a very relatable, easy read. And then we also have a bunch of other categories. So we have a category right now for the specific moment. These are actions you can take while home.
Yeah, we lost. We lost that whole. Yeah.
Sorry?
We lost that. So these are actions that we can take while sheltering at home. That's what we lost.
Yeah, so these are actions you can take while sheltering at home that make a difference and also can save you money. So a lot of people, saving money is really important right now. Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
yes, yeah.
And then there's also a big actions category. If you want to see which actions make the biggest impact, you can explore those. Just want to note there's a toggle here that lets you load more or see less if you want to see that less. There's 5 main action categories. There's your home energy.
Yeah.
There's, sorry?
Didn't get that. Didn't hear that.
There is energy efficiency here, which is our energy smart category. There's home energy, which is like your heaters and water heaters and solar panels, basically home energy systems. There's transportation, that's both land and air, food and waste, and then we also have a water section, which also does impact climate for some of those actions. We also have a community and information action. So these have additional actions like have a say. So this is encouraging folks to speak up and talk with their city councilor, their congressperson, to talk to others about solutions. So there's some learning activities there as well. And then we have a category specifically for youth. So these are being used in classrooms. We have teachers using these youth-friendly actions as a set to give students things they can do on their own. So these are our categories. And then at the bottom here, you can explore all the actions and filter them however you want. You can filter them for renter friendly, or you can sort by points or savings to explore the categories and actions. And then every action has a page of information. So you were asking questions earlier about transitioning to your house to heat pumps. So we have actions here we have an action specifically for heat pump water heater. We have an action for heat pump space heating, and you can learn about it. So here we'll show you for your household, you can answer a question. Say, I'm gonna change 15 light bulbs, and you'll immediately see these numbers update. You'll see an estimate on how much you're gonna save from taking that action, how much you're gonna reduce your electricity use or gallons of gas or gallons of water. There's a time commitment and upfront cost, and then we give you points because points are fun, but points are actually meaningful. So 1 point is equal to 1 pound of CO2 reduced per year or 10 gallons of water. And so these metrics are really specific, local, and this is a very robust carbon calculator. We've had it vetted by the UC Berkeley's Carbon Footprint Calculator program, and they gave us an A++. All these numbers, they use the utility carbon intensity of your PCE program. They use your local pricing. So these numbers are as accurate as you're going to get without having someone come out to your house and measure stuff. And then there's an introduction here. What is this action? Why is it important? And then there's between 2 and 5 steps that can help guide you. So light bulbs are not rocket science, but a lot of these actions, we have step-by-step guides on heat pump water heaters and other actions. And then down here at the bottom, you'll find resources available in your area. So if there's a rebate or a financing program, a community program, or an information sheet, you'll be able to find that information here at the bottom. And then in order to choose the action, I've actually finished this one, but if I had not started it yet, there would be a big blue button here that says get started. You would just click on that and say, I want to do this action, and that would get you started. You could also add the action from the action grid. So when you're on the action grid here, you can click on the little plus sign, and you can either indicate that you completed this before you started. So before you created your account, if you've already done this action, you can mark it off as done. Or you can also say, I want to do this action. I haven't done it yet, and I want to do it. You click new action, and that will also add it to your list. So you go through, explore, decide on which actions you want to do, and then add those to your list. And then once you do that, you'll be able to see your actions in the middle. Here you can see all the actions you've chosen. When you choose an action, you set a goal for yourself of when you want to have it done. You can see your savings or what step is next. And then here you can mark it complete. You can also mark it complete on the action page. And then here we show you, if you complete all the actions on your list, you can, this is how much you'll save per year, and this is how much you'll reduce your impact from where you started. And what is amazing is the average household will save between $1,000 and $3,000 a year by taking the typical actions on the site. This is really an opportunity to save money. And also most households can reduce between 20 and 40% in the first year, and usually up to 50% or more over time as they do actions when they're ready for them. So some of you have already done a lot, and so you may not be able to get as many points, but up here in the progress section, here you'll see the result of what you've finished. So the action list is all of your actions, finished or not. This is the result of what you've marked done. So you can see your points and savings, you can see how much CO2 you've reduced in your household. And then here you can see how you rank. So we rank you to an average household in your area. So if you're above average, you're up here, you're getting started. If you're below average by a certain percent, then you go up in level. So if you have done a lot already, then you're likely to come in at a high level in the beginning. And that's fantastic. You may not be able to get as many points, but you'll be able to have a high level, and that's something to celebrate. So that's a really good thing. So that's kind of how it works at the household level. And then if you join through the custom link for DFA, you'll also have a page for your group. So this is not the DFA group. I'm not a member of your group, so I'm not showing you your page. But you'll have a page that looks just like this, except it'll have a picture of your DFA group at the top. And it'll have a welcome message that Diana puts in. So Diana, you can load in that photo and welcome message to your group. And then this is that custom invite link here. So I'm going to give you this link, and this link will help you to join into the DFA group when you create your account. So, so on your group page, you'll be able to see your progress here, and you'll be able to see your members, see some of the actions your members have taken recently. And then you can also create a post, and that goes only to your members. So the only other thing that's on the site here, I'll leave it to you to explore if you want. You can also create small teams. So your group page is meant for a large group, but if you want to work in some small teams, get together in groups of 5 to 8 households and work together really closely, you can also create a team. It's really easy to do. All you have to do is click create a team, name your team, and you get a team page. And so this is great for smaller groups. You can come together and work together. You can have a team and a group, so you can have one of each. And then finally on your site, there'll be a page specifically for your community. So for you, this will say San Mateo County, and you will have numbers, some goals up here, and then you'll be able to see the progress for the county as a whole. What has the county accomplished? And then you'll also see your group showing up here in the leaderboards. So that's the program. Basically, the general gist of it is follow your household activities on your dashboard, follow and work with your group on your group page, and find actions on the action page. And then finally, I'm just gonna wrap up here by showing you how easy this is. And so this is good. I think you all have probably done a lot, but this is a great way to help others, get others engaged, be leaders, and bring others in, invite others to join who may not know. But it's really easy to save. So this family did 4 really simple actions. They only cost $60. They saved over $500, and they reduced over 5,000 pounds of carbon emissions. So it's very simple to make a difference. We usually give households a goal of 5,000. So it's simple to do. Create an account. Your link will automatically bring you into your group. Do your energy profile. Create a plan. So choose those actions, and then take actions as you're ready with your goal of losing initially 5,000 pounds and beyond. So this is the link. I'm going to put this in the chat. It's kind of long, but oops. This is a link where if you join through this link, you'll automatically be connected to DFA, the DFA page. And then this is our general link. I'll also put this in the chat. This link you can share with anyone in the US. So if they're not in your DFA group, maybe you have some family back east or in the Midwest and you think they might be interested, you can give them this link and anyone in the US can come and join and use our platform locally. So that's where I'm going to stop. I'll put these two in the chat. I have to minimize this in order to do that. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so yeah, I think I'm next, right, Diana?
Yeah, go ahead. I do have, so someone was just asking in chat whether they can belong to more than one community group.
So today, no, but soon. We're actually, that's on one of the things on the top of our list to add is the ability to join more than one group. So that's coming, but today you can only join one.
Great, thank you. Now you're on, Marshall.
Okay, so I think you answered my first question about specific actions to take. I'll have to check out your website to see you know, what it actually says. Then also, can we get a copy of your slide deck, especially so that it would help, for example, going to city councils or the county board of supervisors and things like that? So can we get your slide deck? And the same question for Diane Bailey.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy to send my slide deck.
That would be great. Was that Lisa or Diane?
So this is Diana. I do have Lisa's. No, I have Diane's slides, but I don't have Lisa's.
Yeah, Diane, I'm happy to send those to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And we'll put those on the website.
That'd be great. Thanks a lot. And the third quick question is, are either of your, Diane or Lisa, affiliated at all or working with Thrive, our local alliance for nonprofits that has a sustainability effort now?
So yes, actually we are connected with Doug. I think one of the founders of that network. So yes, we've been working with him for over a year now, and yeah, they're doing great work.
Great, good, okay, thanks.
Thank you. And Susie, you had a question?
I do. So my question is in the first step, you're filling out a lot of information. I'm a little concerned about how much information I'm putting out there and who's going to have access to that.
That's a fantastic question. So this website, this is my company, my startup, and I come from being an activist and organizer, just like all of you. So we have a very strict privacy policy. The only information you put in when you create your account is really just your email and your name. There's no sensitive information there. And then when you fill out your energy profile, again, you're not giving us your address or anything. You're only putting in information about your energy use. So there's really no sensitive information that we have. And even then, your information is protected, and we don't share, we don't sell anything like that. So
good. Yeah. These days, I always just really have to ask because it just seemed like you're filling out an awful lot of information that's very specific to my household, and it may be a little query there that okay. So yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question.
Are there any other questions? Who is this?
Bill has his hand up.
Bill? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Sound like a telephone commercial. Anyway, I'm particularly interested in what you're doing with youth, because they're the generation that's impacted the most by all this, and most of us here tonight are in the generation at the other end. And my whole thing is education. I work as a substitute teacher in a variety of school districts on the peninsula. I was very happy to see that Gunn High School, my alum, my old high school, is one of your leaders in taking action, I think, from what I saw on your posting. Yeah. Anyway, I'm real curious. Well, I'm more than curious. I want to know what you're doing and what more of us can be doing to work with the youth generation, because what I see, I'm sorry to say, but my experience recently in the last 9 months was that in a lot of schools I was at, they weren't doing a very good job environmentally. For example, they had all kinds of recycling tubs in their classroom that I was constantly having to re-sort out and re-educate my students about. And as a sub, I could only impact to the day that I'm there. But that was a sort of an alarm bell that went off for me. So I'm concerned that more needs to be done with the schools. Gun's great; they're a great example. Hopefully, Pally's doing great. I'm a little more concerned about the Sequoia district because that's where I spend more time. But that's what I'd like to know, is how we can work together, how we can impact, and maybe a little bit more elaboration on your part, what your organization has done to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so we're actually relatively new. As I mentioned, we just launched our site nationally. We've been piloting in a few communities across the U.S. For the last 2 years, and we're now starting to branch out. But in our pilot communities, we have 30 cities and counties from Hawaii to Massachusetts that we've been working with. So in our pilot communities, we've actually been working with a lot of students and teachers, and we're working right now to develop some curriculum that can use our tool in the classroom. And we have a lot of teachers really excited about it and really looking forward to using our tool. And in my experience in working with students, particularly high school students, they get really excited about this because they don't want to talk about the problem anymore. They understand it, they get it, they've learned it in school, they want to know what they can do to solve the problem. And so they're very solution oriented and very receptive to tools to learn about solutions. So I'm really excited about the fact that we're there nationally now, that we're developing that curriculum to use in the classrooms, and then also to be able to connect, start to connect student leaders to bring this out beyond their classroom into the community and into their own households. So I don't know if that was for me, if you also wanted to hear from Diane. I know they work with students as well. Oh, Bill, you're muted.
I'd like to hear from anybody and everybody on this, but in particular, back to you, Susan. Can you speak a little more specifically to your experience with San Mateo County in particular? And I'll just add this. I mean, one sort of thing that I've reflected on and listening to you guys, everybody tonight, is that, you know, in the high schools, we have requirements now that every student has to take a class in American government, which I think is so critical today. Every student has to take a class in economics, which is so critical today. Every student has to take a class in sex education, which is very important. And so every student has to take something now around mental health. I feel environmental education and politics, what have you, is right up there as, I think, a required skill set that students need to lead upon before graduating.
I agree, and I actually think it was brought into the science standards recently. So I may be wrong about that, but I think there's an effort in California to really integrate that into the curriculum. So I'm not sure, but you might want to check with some local folks on that. But I know that San Mateo County actually has someone that's been hired to be the leader for environmental education in the whole county.
No, believe me, I'm up on that. I know that. The problem is most of it works as what we call elective classes right now. So students have to opt into it, have a choice. So if they want to do it, they have to give up something else. What I'm saying is, like, for example, in social studies now, we take a full 6-8 weeks out of social studies now just to talk about things like social skills, mental health skills, sort of like contemporary issues of today and how it impacts students in terms of how they negotiate the world. And what I'm saying is that's what has to be done. It has to be more of an institutionalized, required part of the curriculum that everybody learns, just like English, math, what have you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So we have to, if I could, we need to move on so that we can get some other questions and get reports from our task force.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill, so much. I think that's a great question. Elsa, you were next. Your question?
Yeah, it's just a quick one. Lisa, you mentioned that you have 8,000 people using your site now, and yet I also just heard 30 cities that you've been testing over the last 2 years. And one of your points was that if you enter it, you can compare yourself to your own area, to your own region. So is the comparison to your own region against the database of other people you have in that same region who have also signed up?
No, it's a baseline. So we've been working with UC Berkeley's Carbon Calculator program. They have some baseline data at the county level for all the counties in the U.S.
Fantastic.
They profile, households at the county level. And so we've been using their data along with some of our data sets, and we've been putting in, so for each of our regions, San Mateo County is one region, for each of our regions, we have an average impact for a household in those 5 categories based on those data.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa, for the question. And one last question from Greg.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello to Lisa. You still have your recycling company? We used to work on the Obama campaign together years ago.
I know, Gregory, it's so good to see you. Yes, it has been a while. And no, I'm not working in recycling anymore. This is my full-time gig. I decided I wanted to work full-time on climate. That was my dream. And I get to do it. So I'm very excited.
Wonderful. I think that's a very good choice for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And Lisa and or Diane, do you have any last parting remarks that you'd like to make before you leave us today?
Diane, do you want to?
Sure. Well, I want to say thanks again for having us, and I hope each of you can become a climate activist because we need you. And the word activist shouldn't be a dirty word. We need everyone to stand up for the climate and the future of our planet right now, even through this difficult time. So thanks for focusing on this topic today.
Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll echo that. Thank you for having me. It is really great to be here. And for us, we focus on solutions. And I can tell you, most Americans care about this. Over 70% of Americans care. They're concerned about climate. They want to help, but they just don't know what to do. And when you bring information about solutions to people, they get really excited and happy. So sharing our platform out to people, it's a positive thing to do. So please feel free to share. Take that WeRenew.net link, and you can send it out broadly and widely and help people learn about solutions and what they can do. And I also just want to add that we do have a recording from Earth Day, a webinar. I can send that to you as well, Diane, that you can, it's basically what I just did, the demo. So you have this recorded, so that's probably fine, but I can also send you that if that helps. And also just quickly, I forgot to mention, but we have a full Spanish translation on our site. Not a Google widget, but a full Spanish translation. So this is applicable to lots of different communities. So thank you again so much for having me. And it's great to meet everyone.
Thank you so much. This was such a great program. And as you probably observed, many of us are already extremely active. And I was kind of disappointed when I was looking at the platform that many of us already have replaced all of our light bulbs and we're driving electric vehicles. And so it's going to impact our numbers, but yeah.
No, but that's good. I mean, that's something to celebrate, you know? I mean, you may not be able to get as many points, but you can come in at a rock star level. You'll all be rock stars on your level, and that's something to be proud of. So,
well, we're all happy to consider ourselves rock stars, that's for sure. Thank you so much. This was great. And then Ashley, I'm going to unmute you, and you can take over.
Okay. All right, I'm taking over. I know some of you were kind of latecomers, and so I'm going to kind of start from the beginning and just welcome everybody. It's so great to see all of you, and really to see all of you. It's very special, and especially some people that we haven't seen for a while, you know, including our club founder, Rob Dickinson, so great to have him here, and Steve Ogden, so good to see Steve again, and there's Flavia and Carrie also from Oregon, so great to have you all. There may be a few people on who are not familiar with our club. This is San Mateo County Democracy for America. We're a chartered Democratic club. We're very progressive. I happen to have here, right here, our mission, our club mission, which is to inspire the active participation of county residents in the political process to provide a forum for communicating ideas and to promote progressive candidates' policies and reforms. And I think we really did provide a forum for communicating ideas tonight. So I think we are a big success. Next month, we have another special program. It will be another Zoom program. We have discovered another scientific whiz in our club, Marshall Dinowitz, who has his PhD in virology and is going to talk to us about the pandemic. And as we're getting back into the world, he's going to help us stay safe. So we're looking forward to that program. Thank you, Marshall. A couple of quick announcements. It is May, so dues are due. If you can send your check made out to SMC-DFA and mail it to Casey McClure. I don't know if I need, should I give the address here? To Casey McClure, 1330 Johnson Street, Menlo Park, California, 94025. And the rates are for a family, $50, an individual, $30, a senior, student, or unemployed, $15. So get those checks in. And I also want to make a pitch. This time, it's especially important that we support our friends at Samaritan House and at Second Harvest Food Bank. So I encourage you to go online and to donate if you can, and volunteer to work with them if you're able. So right now we are going to go into our task force reporting. And I'll briefly explain that every January we set up task forces to address the issues that we are particularly interested in. Our task forces are rock stars. They are really fabulous. And we will start with our report from the chair of 2020 elections, Greg Lowe. Greg?
Yeah, hi, am I unmuted?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
Oh, hi, everybody. We had our, okay, you don't have to put that up yet. Just wait a minute, Diana. This is gonna be distracting.
Oh, okay.
Just wait a second for this. Okay, so we had our meeting a week ago, and to put that into perspective, this was a couple of days before Biden had his interview on Morning Joe. So we discussed three things at this meeting. We discussed the presidential campaign, we discussed the senatorial campaign, and we discussed the House campaigns. And on the presidential campaigns, of course, we were somewhat worried, although there was no consensus in our group about how worried we should be about the allegations made by Tara Reid. And we discussed this for a while. And as I say, we reached no definitive conclusion, but I have thought about it quite a bit since the interview. And I was sufficiently worried that I tried to imagine what could happen. So I came up with the following three scenarios. The first scenario that I could imagine is that somehow between now and the Democratic Convention in August, something comes out to vindicate Joe Biden completely. And if that happens, that would be, of course, the best solution for us. Of course, we cannot be sure, but that's one possibility. The other possibility is that there would be no clear answer to what's going on, the allegations and the defense, and that this situation would continue to fester to some extent, but that somehow Biden will pull out of it and it won't hurt him too much. It might hurt him some, inevitably, but not too much. And then we'd have to live with that and until the election. And then the third possibility would be that somehow her allegations turn out to be verified by some mechanism. We don't know how. And in which case things would look pretty bad at the convention, and just maybe, who knows, we have no way of, again, of guessing, maybe the delegates would have to find somebody else at the last minute. That would be damaging, but at least it would show, if that should happen, it would be an honest approach to the situation, and would have to see who else would be picked at that point. So these are the three possibilities that I could come up with. Okay. Now, the other thing we discussed regarding Biden that was brought up was the question of who he would choose for VP. And again, we didn't reach any final conclusion on that. There was strong support for Elizabeth Warren on one side. There was strong support for a African-American possibly. There was also strong support for Amy Klobuchar. And then in the meantime, a couple of people, including myself, have come up with another possibility, which might not be too bad. Actually, no, not too bad. It would be very interesting. It would be Susan Rice, because she has a lot of experience in the White House. So that was what we talked about regarding Biden. Now, the next thing was we talked about the Senate. And now, Diana, if you want to project that slide that I had about the senatorial candidates. Can you do that, Diana? Okay. All right. So it's more important than ever because of the uncertainty that horribly Trump might win, that we at least get the Senate back. So we cannot relax on the Senate for a minute. And this slide is a little bit too complicated for you to absorb in what I'm talking, but there are something like 6 to 8 Democratic senators who could prevail. That would be wonderful. We need at least 3 or 4 because even if we have a Democratic president, it'd be nice to have at least a majority of 1 in the Senate, and preferably a majority of 2 or 3 or 4. So the people that we've been discussing that are beyond any doubt now they're going to be the candidates are in Arizona, Mark Kelly; in Maine, Sarah Gideon, that's on the second slide at the top; and in North Carolina, Cal Cunningham. Those 3 people you can give money to without any hesitation if you can afford it, because they have a good chance of winning, and the primaries will not change anything there. Then there are other people like Hickenlooper. There's some dispute about whether Hickenlooper would be the best or Romanoff would be the best in Colorado. Some people seem to think that Hickenlooper is definitely going to win. He has not asked for a lot of money. There's John Ossoff in Georgia, who is one of the candidates for Senate there. There's a possibility of Amy McGrath in Kentucky. Marshall Dinowitz had come up with another choice there, but there was no agreement to put this person there. Amy McGrath seems to be very close to matching the polls with Mitch McConnell, so that would be encouraging. But there will be a primary there that will decide who is running for Democrat in Kentucky, and there's this hope that maybe we can get rid of Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. That would be a dream. And again, Jamie Harrison there needs money, but I think in South Carolina the primary hasn't taken place yet. But anyway, those are 6 of the people. I'll repeat: Arizona, Colorado, Kentucky, Georgia, Maine, North Carolina and South Carolina, those are all strong possibilities of having Democrats win there. Okay, so that's the Senate.
Oh, just a second, Greg. Marshall, you wanted to speak. Was it about the Senate race?
Yes, it was. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, for your thorough review. With regard to the Kentucky race, we did discuss it, and in the past, there's not ever, to my knowledge, been any reason not to include another candidate that we thought was worthwhile. We didn't ever take a vote about putting it on the list, and so on that list is the person that's running against Amy McGrath in the primary. His name is Matt Boyer, Boihier, who's been endorsed by progressive groups in Kentucky. And I remind everybody that this is a primary. So it's the person that wins the primary who goes up against McConnell. And McConnell is formidable. He won before. But I just wanted to say that we are actually adding Amy McGrath to the list. Boyer as the other candidate.
Okay, the reason
No.
the reason, Marshall, that I didn't add it was because when you mentioned it, most of the people who reacted to your suggestion said that Amy McGrath is so close now to being able to beat McConnell that it would be a horrible distraction to bring in another opposition. It might decrease her support. But okay, you can't decide before the primary anyway. So maybe we should add the name, yes.
He will make McGrath take a more progressive position.
I know, but that's the case for a number of other people that we haven't listed.
Well, no, it isn't. That's why we have Romanoff on there against Hickenlooper.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, I will add it in the next edition. Fine.
And Greg, Ellen also has her hand raised. Ellen, you may need to unmute yourself. Ellen?
Ellen, you have to unmute.
Ellen, you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
I've already given Amy McGrath a lot of money. So that was really disturbing to me that now we have to look at some other guy.
Well, that was the reaction of a lot of the people in the group, exactly. And I'm in the same situation, but I mean, we are a progressive group, so you could argue that when a progressive shows up, we should support them as well. It's a little bit confusing. I mean, I don't know exactly what the answer is, but as long as everybody has heard the arguments, I will add the name, and Ellen, you don't have to worry because you have helped Amy McGrath. I have too. So anyway,
well, this guy's not getting any of my money.
I don't see why. I don't see why it's confusing. I gave money to Amy McGrath too. So what?
So for those who are with us tonight for the first time, welcome to DFA.
Okay. Okay, good. And then quickly, the last thing that I want to mention is that we are going to add another page to our recommendation for the Congress, for the House. And the discussion focused at the meeting on two people. One was TJ Cox, that needs our support badly. He needs money very badly. And so if we can help him, we had him at a club before, and Mary has been seeing him once in a while for meetings, I guess, and she strongly recommends that we help TJ because he is threatened. Okay, that's one thing. And then the other thing, which I've been working on a little bit, is Christy Smith in the 25th District. I've been doing, as Mary recommended, I've been doing some phone banking. It's not super successful because most people don't answer, but it's better than nothing. So if you have a little bit of time, I did it in Spanish, which helped a little more. But if you have time, help it. I think, Bill, you want to talk about something.
Yes. Thank you, Greg, for everything you said. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay. I'm never sure if I'm muted or unmuted, but whatever. Anyway, Steve Bullock, Montana. I think we should not forget him. You had him highlighted on your list, Greg.
Yes, you're right.
You didn't mention him. And the thing to know about Bullock is he's the governor right now. So
Right.
he's getting a lot of attention vis-a-vis the coronavirus. And he's doing some good things in that state. And therefore, he's getting a lot more attention. And he's in a position for a lot of the people of Montana to support him versus the guy running against him who, I don't know what he has to say, but he doesn't have near the forum.
Yeah, he's terrible. That guy's terrible.
Or the demonstration of good works that Mr. Bullock's doing right now. So he's somebody else. I think we definitely need to support all these people that you listed, Greg. We definitely need 4. If we can get more than 4, I think we should do it. So we should support all these people. Thank you.
Remember that if the president, the Democratic president that wins, decides to put 2 or 3 senators on his cabinet, we'll need at least 7 or 8. And this may well happen. Okay, so I've mentioned everybody in the House.
That's what I said, Greg.
Yeah,
everybody.
Right. Thank you very much, Bill. That was a good comment. Yeah, Ashley.
I wondered if you were finished.
I'm finished.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Not just good that you're finished, good report, thank you. So let's go on next and talk to Gail and Diana about the Social Justice Task Force. Gail?
I guess. Okay. Well, we have been in the past very interested in passing Senate Bill 144, which would eliminate criminal justice fees that are so burdensome on people, including people who are innocent. And 4 counties, including Los Angeles, have already done so. And Holly Mitchell's legislation, once the legislature reopens, we hope that will be reintroduced, and we're tracking that. Secondly, unfortunately, last night, without us being able to intervene, San Mateo County Board of Supervisors was asked to vote on buying new tasers, as if they hadn't heard a doctor from UC San Francisco describe in great detail how dangerous they are. And I assume they probably voted yes, but I can't confirm that. I don't know if we can do anything about that. Third, the ACLU is ramping up a program to influence or modify the behavior of sheriffs. They're starting in another county, but they will be coming to a county near us, namely San Mateo County, and you know who our sheriff is. And their 2-prong approach is to ask that the sheriffs actually stop turning people over to ICE, which is consistent with California state law, but I guess there are loopholes. And also to ask that more people be released from the county jail. Oddly enough, although the DA and the sheriff expressed concern about releasing people, it was announced in the press that they did not institute a monitoring program, which is rather odd if they're concerned. So we're trying to keep track of what's going on there, and we'll be hearing from ACLU when they get around to our county. The other thing is that some of us, I think Bill took part in this, we're involved in a phone-in campaign to phone the American Hospital Association and raise the issue of protective equipment for nurses, which I think has all of us very deeply concerned. And it's hard to know what to do about that. But that was one thing, and they got, I think, over 600 phone calls. So that was a good event. And then there's one thing on water. A lawsuit from the state of California is going forward to challenge the Trump phony science. He, brought in new people that he likes better. to say that we don't really need to stop sending so much water and it's just fine. And he weakened the environmental standards. So the state of California is suing over that. And also there are 4 environmental organizations that are suing. And the state lawsuit is being supported by some legislators, but oddly enough, not by anybody that we're very close to. Senator, I think, or maybe they're representatives, excuse me, Matsui who's in Hawaii, Grijalva, who's very progressive, and 2 other legislators have signed on or in support of the lawsuit. And then we're wondering, what about our local legislators and our state people too? It's an ongoing concern. So thank you for your time. I think I managed in less than 20 minutes.
Diana, do you have anything to add?
Just briefly, I'm really proud of things that San Mateo County is doing in providing hand washing stations and some of the homeless encampments and identifying people who are homeless, who are either over 65 or are whose health issues are very vulnerable, who are themselves vulnerable either because of their age or because of illness, and they're putting them up in hotels, in motels in San Mateo County. So I'm really proud of the things that San Mateo County is doing because of this COVID-19. And to add to the comment Gail was making, at least I can speak to San Mateo County that hundreds of thousands of masks and protective equipment have been flooding into San Mateo County in the last few weeks. We were having a problem in the beginning for sure, but they're really doing an amazing job bringing protective equipment into our professionals. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bill, you have a question?
Not a question. I just want to add on to what Diane had to say, and she's too modest not to mention this, I guess, but I just noted where the Redwood City Council added more money at the last meeting for rental assistance in Redwood City because it was far deficient, much like the federal level, but Redwood City in its infinite wisdom is ahead of the federal government right now in helping us locally with our renters. So I wanted to note that. I also wanted to note that I'm also seeing, I think, more testing, particularly around tracing and asymptomatic testing going on in San Mateo County in particular. So I think people should be aware of that. And we should really, I think, as activists, push our county really hard, our public health people really hard, to see everything that we can do to get testing done. Because until we have that, we can't go forward with the economy.
Right, thank you.
And followed by tracing, yes.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say it again, Marshall.
I said the testing is important, but it has to be followed up by tracing, following the contacts of the people that are positive, testing positive.
Right, right. So before we go on to the next task force, I want to thank Diana for setting up this meeting and finding our speakers. I thought they were wonderful. I want to mention, you know, before more people have to leave, that we do urge you to join the San Mateo County Democracy for America Challenge, Green Challenge, that Lisa was talking about. And I heard her say, didn't I, Diana, that we can send out an invitation to everyone.
Yes.
So in case you didn't get that, the website, don't worry about it. We'll send you an invitation and you can sign up. It's very easy. You go on, you set up your own account, and then it asks you which group you would like to join. And our group, Diana has set up our group, so our group is there and you can join. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so moving on to our next task force, let's go to fighting voter suppression.
Oh,
Elsa
Ashley,
and
we
Mary.
have two raised hands. Gail, is your hand up because of a previous comment, or do you still want to speak?
You're muted, Gail.
And Marshall also has his hand up. So Marshall, why don't you,
Unmute me. Uh,
did you want to speak again, Gail, or was that from
Yeah.
before? Okay,
Yeah.
quickly.
Okay, well, there are two pieces of legislation in the federal government in the hopper, and faith-based communities are supporting these very strongly. One is called the CARE Act, which would try to get more funds for low-income people rather than fossil fuel producers. And also, there's faith-based community and a lot of other groups are working for mail-in voting, which, whatever you might think of it, is indicated at this time and sorely needed at this time. Thank you.
And Marshall has his hand up.
Yeah, this is a little logistics thing. When people have a URL that they want to give us, if they could put it on chat, we can then copy and paste it and get it. Whereas the way the last one was done, it was shown on a screenshot, which you can't just copy and paste.
So in response to that comment, Lisa did put that very same
Yes.
on chat.
Yes.
It is on chat.
My comment had
Oh,
more
okay.
to do with the with the last one that was put up, how to get to our
It's the same link.
no, but it has specific for ours.
It is the same link that Lisa put on the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, now we are going to Elsa and Mary for fighting voter suppression.
And you can unmute yourself.
It's Nancy.
Oh, Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy Goodban.
Oh, I said Mary. I'm sorry.
I know.
Nancy
This is history, though, too. So for fighting voter suppression, sorry, Nancy, I'm not sure Nancy was going to be
Nancy's not, yeah, I don't have her.
Okay, good. On fighting voter suppression, we had our first ever Zoom for our little group last night, and most people were able to join in, which was wonderful. We talked about the state of Reclaim Our Vote, as well as a little bit about the national popular vote situation. And mostly really had some good conversations, which we so appreciated. So thank you everybody who did show up. The interesting thing right now is that in the postcarding that we're doing with Reclaim Our Vote, we have sent more than 1 million cards. And we're only doing it for 8 states. So that million makes a significant difference. And the great thing about a postcard is that it can stay there on your desk or on your refrigerator until you both hear back that you really are registered, or when you realize you're not, you can keep checking, because you can keep checking that. So we're actually coming to emphasize postcarding right now, so that that physical note with the address and the phone number, et cetera, can stay with the person for a while. And then we use GOTV phone banking as well as texting to really drive home that last 6 weeks for voting. And there are minor shifts to some of that. For instance, in Texas right now, they've just decided that people 65 and older can sign up to get early ballots, so that you can have, for the first time in Texas, absentee voting if you are 65 or over. And we know that a lot of voters are 65 and over. So we're doing a lot of that with phone banking, luckily. But the fabulous thing is we now have data showing that between 58 and 85% of the people whom we are able to call during the GOTV last 6 weeks, whom we were first able to send that postcard to, actually vote in the election. And they could not have voted if we hadn't gotten them that postcard and then, perhaps reminded them to vote. So we love sending those postcards now, because it helps get them on the bandwagon, whether or not they've had their primary initially, and they can help become spokespeople in their own areas with their own friends and families to make sure that others are also signed up. So anybody who's willing to come join our bandwagon, either on the phone banking or on the texting end, and within a couple of weeks, we'll also have texting, which will be great. Sorry, I meant phone banking or postcarding. We can get you all the materials no matter where you are, partially by email, others by either dropping off packets or having you pick them up, or one-on-one just tutorials that Nancy and I are happy to give online. So we'd love to hear from you. We'll say that. Thank you.
So Gail has her hand up again, quickly. Was it about Elsa's presentation?
Can't hear you, Gail.
Oh, wait. Oh, I have to unmute or something?
No,
Yeah,
you're fine. We can hear you.
I just wanted to offer a round of applause for Elsa and the postcarders and phone bankers.
Oh, great. Okay, always welcome. Thank you.
There's a good team.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Elsa, while you're up, do you have anything to add about healthcare?
Well, just one wonderful thought. I mean, wonderful. This is so bad of me to frame that way, but so delete that framing if that's okay. 72,000 Americans have died so far. 1.2 million have become infected. The amazing thing, let's see, so that leaves like 1 million to 1.1 million who have either recovered or are still in recovery. We have 4% of the world's population, and yet we have 33% of the world's COVID deaths. We are the only country on the planet without single-payer universal health care. And the fact that we have 4% of the world's populations and spend 40% of the world's money spent on healthcare gives you some data to work with to say, wait a minute, this is a problem that we're accepting, we're just putting up with, rather than this is so time to get rid of that. So the fact that Nancy Pelosi and the Dems made it their #1 issue in the 2018 elections, that Nancy took her whole team and wrote the amazing drug bill in 2019 to get it through, well, in 2019, early 2020, to get it through the House at least, suggests that she and we are in very good position to be able to say, wait a minute, was this acceptable? Everything that came down in our great country, the most powerful on the earth during this epidemic. And I, if there's any silver lining, and boy, this is a stretch, I do realize, I really hope it helps move us to not, can we do a single payer universal healthcare system, but how do we do it? That really needs to be the question on the platforms. End of story.
And Marshall has his hand up.
Can't hear you.
You'll have to unmute yourself, Marshall.
Yeah, got it. Thanks, Elsa, for all that work you're doing in that whole area. It's been quite amazing, actually.
I think it's the people are doing it.
Well, yeah, but somebody's pulling it together and following up, which is terrific. And there's a connection. Your early comment about we only have 4% of the world's population, and we have 1/3 of the deaths from coronavirus infections. And it's also interesting to connect the fact that England has the second highest in the world, with the same kind of denial way
initially
of dealing with it. The two countries that are dealing with it, saying that it's okay if we kill some of the workers that are expendable, are the US and UK.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that connection, even though the U.S. is #1. Trump will be able to brag, we were first in COVID deaths. UK second.
So that's a great lead into the next month's meeting, when we'll have Marshall as the speaker for the entire thing, and you will be blown away by the depth of what he can educate us about.
Hello?
Bill, if you wouldn't mind not
I gotta
raising
add something
your hand.
here. I gotta add something here.
But sorry, could I just,
Correct in our information, Elsa. We gotta be complete and correct. And I can't say exactly which country it is, but one of the Scandinavian countries is open. They've done no mitigation whatsoever.
no, that's not true.
Sweden.
Yes,
You're
it is.
talking about Sweden, Bill.
Well, whatever, but
and
Marshall
there's not-
says, only US and England. It's not true. Sweden is also.
No, he
not doing
didn't say, sorry. So he said the top 2 deaths per capita are the US and now the UK. And Sweden has closed some of its schools, the elementary, the high schools, but not the elementary schools. But Sweden has done some things and not others. And it is in the process of seeing a big upswing.
Yes,
England was the only country initially that said, we're going to let herd immunity take effect. And by the way, herd immunity means 60 to 70% of the population has to have antibodies. And that suggests that it's 1.5 to 2 years from now before we actually do have a degree of herd immunity.
And
But
that
Sweden's
depends,
half and
and
half.
that also depends on whether it provides immunity. We don't know yet.
That is true too. We don't yet have the antibody evidence that says either will having a degree of antibodies help protect us from future, I was going to say incubations, from future times of having it, or do you need a certain level of it?
Yeah, the chances are.
Let me give you a time check. We're at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get into. I don't want to get.
Diana, do you think you
let me
can
just
ask
say this.
people
I don't want to get
to
into a
raise their
debate.
hand?
I don't agree with
that,
what Sweden's doing.
so that,
I don't want to get into
and
a
have
debate.
you call on
But I
them
think,
as the
no.
host?
I don't want to do this, but I think you need to relook at Sweden. I don't want to get a debate. I don't agree with what Sweden's doing. I don't think it's a good approach, but I think we need to take a look at what's going on there. All right? Thank you.
You're right.
We have, and we
will.
didn't say we
Yes,
agree.
will.
Okay, we're going to have to move along now. Thank you, everybody. There'll be a lot more about this at the meeting next time. And it will all be so amiable, I promise. Okay, so last but not least, we have Susie and legislative bills. Susie?
Well, so right before things closed down, we had a meeting planned and we were finally going to get going. And then everything closed and we haven't met. However, the state legislature was also closed. So they only went back to work this last Monday, 2 days ago. And there was actually a good article in the Chronicle talking about the legislators' approach. They're going to have a very short session. And so some of the bills that might have been part of the current session may not make it because they're only going to focus on a few, is what they're saying. But one of the ones that I read about that I thought was very good is our local Mark Berman. He's got a bill, AB 860, that would require elections to mail a ballot to everyone. And so San Mateo County, we're already doing that, but this would be statewide. And so that would be terrific. It would be able to go into effect by November. And so there are a few other ones. You know, some of the housing bills that I had been starting to look at probably aren't going to get looked at this year. You know, and so one of the things I would like to do though is, you know, Nancy and Ellen, if we can maybe have a call and start taking a look at a few and be able to have a report at the June meeting. Yeah. So there are things going on now, but they're already telling us to, you know, lower your expectation about what might make it through the legislature this year. Okay. And that's it. So I'll contact you guys and we'll talk and see if we can figure out a time.
Okay, thank you, Susie. Does anyone have any announcements?
And please raise your hand.
Yes, raise your hand. Okay, well,
Or,
you know,
let me see, I have a couple of chats here. Oh, it's just Elsa asking us to ask people to raise their hand. So Elsa, you came to us late, but yes, that was the original idea, was that we were going to ask people to raise their hand. And I see, Andy, you unmuted yourself. Did you want to speak?
Can I make some comments?
Sure. Yeah, just briefly. We're over time now.
Well, I hope you guys know that on March 2nd, Bernie got 79.3% of the DFA vote national in the poll they did. So this DFA, Democracy for America, nationally, Bernie got the vast majority of people in this group. I don't know what's going on with this local group. The Colorado Democratic Party, my understanding is that's already a done deal. Andrew Romanoff won that primary. He got 55% of the vote. That was on March 8th. Hickenlooper got 30%. It doesn't matter how much money you have, Greg. If you're a bad candidate, you don't get in. That's a done deal. Andrew Romanoff is the candidate, and he's going to be running against Cory Gardner. DFA National in Maine, do not give your money to Sarah Gideon. DFA National has backed Betsy Sweet. She's the progressive. I believe you did mention Cal Cunningham, not Erica Smith. That's who's being backed by DFA National. Cal Cunningham. Raphael Warnock in Georgia is being backed by DFA National over John Ossoff. He's the corporate candidate. So when DFA does their national endorsements, they do the due diligence to find out who's a progressive and who's not. So let's take that into consideration, huh? Thanks.
Thank you, Andy.
Just one clarification. So we all started out as we all started out as Dean for America, and then we became Democracy for America, and it was a national group. Our affiliation with them, with the national group, has dissipated through the years, so that it's only kind of a handshake, back when we used to do handshakes. So we really are not governed by what they do. That being said, as a progressive myself, I have a lot of respect for what they do. But just to make clear, we don't meet with them. We very rarely talk to them. So we are a separate entity. So at this point, I would usually ask you to finish up the desserts and put away the chairs. So I'm going to tell you, when you leave this meeting, go to the kitchen and grab a cookie. And it's been so wonderful seeing you all. And again, so much thanks to Diana for setting this up.
Yes.
And giving us such a wonderful program. And we will see you all next month.
Wait a minute.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
all.
to see everybody.
Wait. Wait.
Actual waves. Yeah,
Yeah.
actual waves. It was
Diana,
wonderful to
can
see
you
all.
send us since I missed the beginning of the meeting, I didn't get the the website that you're referring to about the Green San Mateo, whatever it was.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll send it to you. And also, we did record this meeting. And so I'm hoping that when I turn it over to Flavia, that she'll be able to put it on our website. We'll see about that. I'm not sure.
Rob, there's Rob. Oh.
This technology thing, yeah, it's a learning process, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and a quick note that it was really nice to briefly see Louis O'Toole join our movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob Dickinson, look at that.
Yes.
Rob and Flavia and Carrie as well.
Yeah.
Our Oregon
Yeah.
family is here, yeah.
And Rob.
Yeah, Rob's in the middle of a forest.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
This was wonderful.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Diane,
Yeah.
hello.
Hi.
I just want to say hi before you shut everybody down.
Thanks.
Good to see
Yeah,
you.
we'll have to get together.
Good to see you. I want to drop something off to you.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe I'll just make it a surprise and not publicize it.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you
Good
soon.
night, everyone.
Okay.